bum bum, chicka chicka bum, chicka bum bum.
I'm folding laundry and I was like, oh shit, I totally said I was gonna record and post another video. So, I'm sticking to my word. Alright, so like I said, I'm over here doing folding my laundry. It is Sunday. Getting ready for work. Making sure that I have all the things in place, most importantly my clothes. But there has been something that I have been going back and forth with this week. And it's my job. My job. So I work in special education. Specifically, I am over my special education department. And when I went into education, I did not join education with the intention of working in special education. My first year teaching is the reason why I went into special education. But it wasn't just, I didn't go just right into special education. I went into social and emotional learning. So, that being in social and emotional learning and behaviors is what led me to be in special education. Now, one of the things that I work in that hold near and dear to my heart is the different layers of special education and all the different parts, and making sure that there are the right advocates in those spaces to make sure that kids are getting what they need. And that has been the part right there that has been eating me up lately. I have on my headphones because the vacuum is going off, and I really hope that these headphones do not pick up the sound of the vacuum. But I just want to let you know that's what I have on my headphones. But yeah, so we all know there's a teacher shortage, right? Like there is no secret that there is a teacher shortage. And we all know that, like the teachers that are in the building, they're underserved, they're underpaid, they're overworked, all these things. We know this. But I had no problem being a teacher who was underpaid because I was, I had other things going on, other sources of income. So like, it wasn't a big deal for me, but I love what I do. Like I love teaching. But my time was running out. But I was okay with working in an environment where I could feel safe. It wasn't insane. And I was able to grow, be developed as a teacher, as a person. And that's where I came to the current school I am at. Because I just was like, well, if I'm going to be a teacher, I'm just going to be a good-ass teacher. And I was going to get into educational consulting, which I'm doing now. So I was like, that's that. And then my coffee business, I was like, well, that's how we get out of education when it's time. I love my principal. I really do. And when she came to me with this position that I'm currently in, I was like, for you, yes. If it would have been anyone else, it would have been a hell no. Because I know what this position comes with. Being the lead of any department is a lot because you're dealing with everyone's shit. Being the lead of a special education department is always going to be a lot, no matter what school you're in, because every special education department, no special education department anywhere is supported the way that that they need to be. And then this current state of special education is so all over the place that everyone's kind of trying to figure out what's the best way to serve kids. And there's so many changes that are being made left and right. So, whew, child. So I have been noticing, and back to what I was saying about, like, the kids not being an advocate for the kids that when they're not getting what they need. That's the main part of my job, and I think that's the main thing about being in special education as a whole. Special education isn't about these extreme disabilities, and I think people think of mild intellectual disabilities, or what we also know as mental retardation, as when we think of special education, but that's not. I have very high functioning children that look atypical, and you wouldn't know that they're neurodivergent, and or they just have anxiety, and they have testing anxiety that causes extreme behaviors, or they have PTSD, or they have an emotional behavior disorder because they dad got locked up at 5. Like, there's so many things that fall under special education. So that's number one. I really want people to stop thinking that special education is this place that we send children because they don't know how to learn, or they need they're dumb, or they're slow. That's actually not the case. The majority of students in special education just need additional supports to fill gaps, so that the gaps that are also with gen ed students who have just as big gaps, they can learn on the same speed as those students as well. They just need a little extra support. Special education is also gifted students. Special education is also English language learners. Special education is also for students that just need more support outside of it, that doesn't require an evaluation. Maybe you need a hearing aid. Maybe you need glasses. Maybe you have speech. There's so many things that require special education, and people don't know that, and they only think of one thing. They think of that very small group of kids in their one school, and that one super kids stay with each other all the time and needed a support all the time, and da-da-da-da. Yes, those are the cases. Those are very extremes, but those aren't all the time. Like, and the goal of an individualized education plan, friends, is to get off, or to become as independent as possible in the classroom setting without needing all the support. That's the goal of the individualized education plan. With all of that being said, there is currently a what the fuck that comes across my face every day when I am interacting with the teachers who are interacting with my kids. There are so many things that happen throughout the day that I'm just like, wow, if I was the teacher of that class, that would not have happened. I know that would not have happened. And I can say that with confidence because of how I have my structures in my classroom, how I operate as a teacher in my classroom, the way kids are able to explain themselves and feel free in my classroom, feel safe in my classroom. Any child that has had me as a teacher will tell you, if you had beef with me as a teacher, it was on you. It was because you wanted to do your own thing in my class. And the thing is, I have expectations and boundaries in my classroom, which allow you to be as free as you want within these boundaries. If you find yourself operating outside that boundary, then you and I got some issues. Because again, this is my classroom. Love what I do, right? So when I see things that happen in the classroom, I'm just like, wow, bro. Like, if I was in the class, that probably would not be the case, and that probably would not have happened. And then I give teachers advice because that's my job. I give them feedback. I coach. I lead. I provide professional development for them. And it feels like they just take the tools and they go, and they just don't do it. And it gets frustrating. I have a teacher now. What I'm about to say might sound a little crazy, but I'm going to give you a quick phonics lesson. When you learned phonics, there were certain things you've learned. You learned your vowels, A, E, I, O, U. You learned long and short vowels, I, E, A, E, I, O, U. You learned short and long. Once you learned your short and long vowels that they say, they make different noises depending on if they're short or they're long, you also then learn vowel teams, E, A, I. E-Y, I-E, all of these other vowel teams, right? With vowel teams, it's just two vowels together that make the sound, one sound, right? Then you have magic E. Magic E comes at the end of a word and it changes the sound of the vowel in the word. For example, mice. It's not Mick or Mickey. It's mice because of the E at the end. Okay, cool. All of these rules. My favorite rule though, bossy R. Because bossy R controls the sound of the bar. It's a car. Right? It's not care, cara, cara. I don't know, right? It's car. R controls the A sound. It controls the vowel. Bossy R. There's a rule out there in the world that some teachers are teaching, and I don't know why. And I just found out about it this past week. One of my teachers were teaching this. Bossy A. I never heard of this rule. I have been through some trainings, I've done through the phonics stuff, this is my second year learning early literacy, so not gonna say I'm an expert, still learning. So when I heard bossy A, I was like, maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe this is next level, right? So I looked it up on my own because as this teacher was explaining the lesson, I didn't quite understand what it meant because the rule itself is going to become problematic when you start introducing other vowel rules. You're trying to teach vowel teens, but you're teaching bossy A. And the rule of bossy A is that bossy A is the bossy wife who has to tell her husband what to do or some shit like that in 2024. What if the A wanted a husband? What if the A wanted another wife? What if that's why she bossy? Because she's not living in her truth. Like, there's so many questions. But then what happens when A becomes a E? Then what happens when A is now in the middle of a word? There's so many questions there's so many reasons why you just shouldn't teach it that way. But also, the rest of the school is teaching it this way. This is the curriculum that we are following. You should follow the curriculum. Or at least, if you're not going to follow the curriculum, use the same strategies and verbiage that we're using with this. I was having the hardest time understanding how to fix this. How do I tell this teacher to fix this? And it's like, this was just one example of the many things that I have to deal with every day that just drive me insane. And I just don't want to deal with it anymore. Because it's just like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? And this same teacher is like, I'm always questioning what the fuck is going on in this classroom. Sometimes it seems like just chaos, but it works. But sometimes it's chaos and I'm literally just like, but what does this have to do with anything? And if you have to over explain it, it's bullshit. Lesson plans should be simple and straight to the point. The more complex your lesson is, the more you have to explain. That means the more chance the student actually doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. There are so many parts of this job that no one talks about, and I don't think no one talks about what happens when you actually get into leadership. No one talks about when you do think about going back into your old role that got you into this role, because the person that's in your old role or doing what you used to do is doing it so bad, and you just know, and you're trying to figure out how to help this person, but they don't even want to listen, so it's like, what's the point? And so then, because of the state of education, you gotta go through all these loops and flips and turns to actually turn people and get them out of the space so that you can get someone in there to actually do what needs to be done. Or your schedule is so out of control that you can't even be the person to go in there and do the thing, but you want to so bad because you know you can fix the error. You know you can help close some of this gap, because science is science, and the way these kids learn is really just a science. And that's what being a special education teacher is. You know the brain, you know the science, figure it out. Like, that's just what we do. But there is a gap, and I don't know where that gap is. I don't know if it's in teacher prep programs. I don't know if it's in special education programs. I don't know what it is, where it's like these teachers are losing the ability to close the gaps and be creative and innovative. What are you doing? Like, when I was a teacher, I had my first year teacher, I had 138 kids in total, I think. 138, 137, something like that. My biggest class was 35. My smallest class was 29. These teachers got 14, 10, 18 kids in the class, tripping, caseloads of 5. I'll never forget my first year of special education. My caseload was 10. I didn't get a small caseload until last year, and it was 5. Actually, it was 5, but I supported like 4 of the classes, so with kids in those classes that had disabilities, so it was a lot more. It's just who I was progress monitoring for was smaller. So it's just like, when I hear these teachers come up with these problems and these issues, I'm like, okay, well, shut the fuck up. Let me do it, because clearly it's too hard for you. So let me just do it. But these are the things like people don't talk about. I don't know if it's just school leadership or just leadership in general, but like how are you supposed to operate in this space when there's so much lack of, so much complacency, so much incompetence? It's just, I can do it. Just shut up and let me do it. Pack your shit and let me just do it. That's how I feel. But I also know my goals in life. And going back into the classroom does not align with my goals in life. If I go back to the classroom, I need to be a remote teacher so that I can continue with the goals in my life. This current position makes sense with everything else I'm trying to do in my life. However, all of the things that come with the job sometimes gets a little overwhelming. And I think this last 2 weeks has shown me exactly why I never wanted to get into leadership, but in the same breath, exactly why I needed it in leadership. Because yes, I am frustrated as hell almost every day. No, I don't come home super stressed because I'm a person that's able to leave work at work and I'm able to like compartmentalize a lot of things and dissociate like a motherfucker. But I also know that my knowledge is needed, my perspective is needed, and if there aren't more black, queer, femme, non-binary, trans, been through some shit teachers that are smart, like that have been through the trenches of life, of academia, and special education, all the other parts, then we never gonna fix these. We never gonna close these gaps. We're never gonna actually get where we're supposed to go. But the current state of education now requires such a massive overhaul. It requires such a like, let's throw it all away mentality and start from the beginning that it makes no sense. The thing is that is also scary because that also allows for a lot of mistakes. And I understand, like, as educators, like, we're supposed to be perfect. We don't make mistakes. We're the perfect ones. Everything we do is perfect. We're so smart. But, like, we're also tired. We're also human. And all of those lies about education and how we just work so easy and we get to go on these long, lavish vacations because we get the whole summer break off, that's bullshit. Half of that time we're actually planning for what we do in the classroom or at our school when you're in leadership. Then the breaks that y'all are talking about, I'm spending half of that sleeping so that because I haven't slept for real because of all the other things that I bring home. Yeah, I don't bring my work home, but the things, 6% of certain grade levels passing as proficient, a fourth of Georgia is able to read. Like, what? Like, these are the things that you're thinking about as an educator throughout the day. So shut the fuck up if you think that we're just sitting around at our desk all day with our little coffee cups and everything's cute. Because that's not happening. It's not. Like, it's just not. We're working. We're trying our hardest. And we have a very good way of putting on a good facade to make sure that all the things that need to get done. Now, that's not happening across the board, and I just am so glad that I work in an organization that is finally getting to the place. It's at a place where they're just like, we can't have any more mediocrity in our building, so we're just ridding the trash. But god damn, bitch, it is hard. It is tiring, and I really, 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 really have to recenter myself. Before I go back to work tomorrow, and that's just real. I have some real mixy feelings about work. And those mixy feelings aren't because things aren't happening. It's mixy feelings because what is happening and what has happened. And it's just like, okay, but what next? And how does this work for me? And how does this look for my goals? And what do have my goals shifted because of these things? Have my goals shifted because of the state of, like, what do I do? What do I do? And I feel like that's where I've been for a minute in this what do I do phase. But now it's like I thought I was good at work. And now I'm at this stage at work where I'm like, but am I though? Like, am I good here? Am I okay? So, we'll see. I've changed my medications. Well, I haven't changed. I stopped taking my antidepressant because I noticed it was actually making me really irritated at work. Like, I was becoming angry over things that I shouldn't be angry about. So I stopped taking the antidepressant, but only was taking my anxiety meds. I think what ended up happening is, like, I think the antidepressant kind of puts you in this state of fa la 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 la, and you want to live there for a long time, and you try to see the good in things and people, and you see big picture, right? You see real big picture, And I think without the antidepressant, it's not that I don't see big picture, but like also that shit right there not right. And we not gonna keep acting like that's right. That shit right. That part of the picture ain't right. So why the fuck we still moving on and this one part not right? That's crazy. And I think that like that is the best way to describe it. It's like, no, I'm calm, I'm fine, but like, you sure? Are you sure? Are you okay? Did you see what I just saw? Did you hear what I heard? Because that's not okay. Like I said, I love what I do. I love my job. I love everything about what I do. I love working in education. I love developing teachers. I love seeing kids grow. I love it all. What I do not love is bullshit, mediocrity, complacency, and lazy ass adults. Why would you work with children if you a lazy ass, complacent ass adult? We are not trying to raise a generation of lazy, complacent motherfuckers who think they could just sit around and do nothing and things are supposed to come to them. There's a lot of motherfucking entitlement that these little bitty bitties have in them. And I don't know where it comes from, but let me tell you this. Encouraging it in the classroom is not gonna help. Hold your babies accountable. Teach them the things that they need to know. Academics and cultural and social things. Make sure your children are aware. Start talking to them like they're fucking human. If your child can't read, stop telling them they can. Tell them the truth. If your child is in 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade, high school, and is performing on an elementary level, you need to have that conversation. Because being able to say words on the page versus being able to read with fluency and comprehend what you are reading are two different things. And a lot of our babies know how to say words on a page, but they don't know how to read. And that's a problem. That's a problem. And it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's not a this thing, it's a everyone thing. It's everyone, and I can say that with confidence. I worked in a private school, a very affluent private school, and I can tell you this, it's the same mindsets, and I'm having the same conversations. I've worked in Title I schools, I've worked in the hood, I've worked on the border of Mexico, I've worked everywhere. Same conversations. It is an issue, like it is an American issue right now. The state of education in America is scary, and I need you all to understand why. It is a big thing. It's not just the teachers. It's not just the parents. It's a lot. It's one intersection and webbed up mess. Ooh, it's hit my glass. But the vacuum is closed now. I really hope it's not picking up in these headphones. But nonetheless, I'm gonna finish folding up these clothes. I'm gonna keep doing my big one at work because, like I said, I love what I do. And I generally know what can be done once there is a structure in place and systems. When structures and systems are in place, my God, the things we can do. And I've worked under some pretty bomb-ass managers to learn how to do a lot of the structures and the systems. So I'm excited to continue to do the work I do in hopes that we shrink some of these gaps in education. Love you, mean it. Let's chat later.
Chicka chicka bum, chicka bum bum bum, chicka chicka bum, chicka bum bum.